Hey, in this podcast, I want to give you a little bit an approach to how to study for midterm one. Um, and I'll start with the first week's module. First of all, you don't have to read the Devaka excerpt again. All you really need to do for the midterm for the first midterm from module one, where I talk about Devaka, is listen to the podcast. And so I'm going to go to the podcast. Let's see here. That's the overview. So let's see here. Here's the podcast lecture here. And one of the things I just stress, I can't stress it enough, that if you want to study, look at the outline I put under each podcast. Anything that you see in that outline, I feel is fair game to put on a quiz or a midterm. And so that's number one. Number two, more generally, if you can, just think of the bigger story first. So this is the story of Spanish exploration into the New World. Okay, so that's kind of the bigger story. And you're hearing about Cabeza de Vaca, and he's washing ashore in the 1500s. So think kind of big story first, and then fit the historical details into that big story. So it's pretty focused in this module. It focuses on De Vaca and his adventures in Texas. Now, there's another aspect of the module that I want you to focus on, though, as well, in addition to Vaca. I want you to know the Caddo, and I want you to know the Karankawa. I want you to know their story, how they were similar, but more importantly, how they were different. What were the attributes of these two societies? So like I say, know the similarities, but know the differences between the two. You don't have to go back and watch the videos, the Dr. De La Teja videos. You don't have to go back and watch that. Again, so focus on my podcast on Devaka. Look at the outline I put underneath that. Remember, these exams are open note, but then you don't want to lose track of time either. And so know about the Vaca, interesting story, I think, anyway. And then take a look and know about the Caddo and the Karankawa. And where were they? What was how were their societies organized differently, and that kind of a thing. Okay, so let's see. For week two, let me go back to modules here. So, okay, module week two. So again, the podcast lecture, take a look at the outline I put underneath the podcast lecture. That's what you are going to want to study, and anything that's in that outline, I feel like I can test you on. As far as week two, also know the boundaries of Spanish Texas. Know that the southern boundary of Spanish Texas is the Nueces River, not the Rio Grande. Know that the Spanish Texas had a very, very different shape than the Texas that we think of today. So be aware of that. Okay, what else we got here for week two? And know about the native peoples in Spanish Texas. Note that the Comanches dominate in North Texas. They push the Lipan Apache south into what we call the Colatecan territory, and of course the Colatecans were the numerous different peoples that lived in South Texas. That Colatecan is an umbrella phrase for these different groups. We call them Colatecan, but they didn't recognize themselves or see themselves as part of being the same people. In many respects, they had different languages, different gods, that kind of a thing, different customs. So it goes Comanche, the most powerful, Lipan Apache, the Colatecan. And the Colatecan again go into the missions because they're getting pounded by the Lipan Apache. So be aware of that. Um, close that. And let's see here. Okay, I have to open up this thing again here for week 2 modules. No, the Comancheria, that the Comanche had an empire in North America that stopped the Spanish from moving north and west. So the Comanches dominate this area of Texas from the 1750s, really, for over 100 years. Kind of incredible to think about. The Spanish and Comanche empires touched on each other, but the Comanche Empire was much stronger um, than the uh, uh, than the Spanish Empire. I managed to get back there. Um, let's see. Know about again the significance of the horse to the Comanche. It gives the Comanche tremendous mobility. Know about the San Saba, the attack and destruction of the San Saba mission north and west of San Antonio. This puts the Spanish exploration or movement into Texas comes to a screeching halt in the 1750s at San Saba. When the Spanish try to come into the Comanche Ria territory, and the Comanches created an alliance of Norteños and just shut it down completely. Know how the Comanches treated the Spanish and the contempt really that the Comanches felt for the Spanish. Again, the idea I'm trying to get across that in Texas, the Comanche were far, far stronger than the Spanish. So know about the San Saba, the destruction of the San Saba mission. Um, and you might want to take a look at that image of the San Saba mission. Okay, so that's the first 2 weeks. So instead of kind of rushing things, I'm going to stop and do another little podcast.